Good afternoon. I'm John Eckener with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services with your market update for today. Today we're going to discuss a new trend in today's real estate market, the auction. We're going to look at it from two different angles, the buyer and the seller. First off, lately there have been a couple properties, and they weren't distressed properties by no means, on auction terms. Now, the probable reason these were fine properties, one of them is on the market as of this weekend. The seller is under the assumption, of course, that the reason why they're going to auction it is because they want to cut out as many of the players as possible. And let's say the biggest chunk of that equation is the agent's commission. So let's see what we could do. So thinks the seller. I want to save some money on my listing because I want the most dollars. And I don't blame you, because sellers are entitled to the most dollars for the property. It's true. And that's why we have for sale by owners too, which is a whole nother subject. But in this case study, I have the data on some case studies that you might be interested in. The case study indicated that despite the fact the property was being auctioned, the property did not garner a high enough dollar value what the owner was looking for. So, and in the end, that property was listed on the MLS for about its market rate. The second property, I actually looked at this yesterday, also in La Mirada. I happened to look at the bids that were, because the agent let me look at the bids. The bids were about $80,000 under what the market is. Again, I was told that the way this works is if the seller doesn't get his dollar value, he will put it on the MLS. Both of these are standard sales, they're not distressed sales, so don't think, oh, it's a bank-owned property. The thing is, no matter what happens, 9 times out of 10, or maybe 4 times out of 5, you are going to have to employ an agent to sell the property. Because the agent has connections or resources that can help you market your property. And that's why you're paying that big commission. And the commission is a percentage. So whatever you have, it's like a service charge you go to, when you buy or sell stock, you pay a service charge on it. So everywhere there is a charge, because we need to, we do a good job, and we need to be able to have that flexibility of giving you the most exposure for your property. Let me ask you a hypothetical question. You think if you gave me $100 and said, John, go advertise your property, do you think I could do something for that? Maybe I can print a few flyers in black and white, hand them out to everybody, hope for the best. But if you gave me $1,000 to market your property, said, John, go market my property, imagine what media channels I could pump that into. And maybe even using the few of them together can get you the great advertising exposure that's not an arm and a leg. Something to think about. Auction properties. They're not helpful to you. Now, as far as you, the buyer, I know we talked about the seller, and I have some case studies. What about the buyer? Well, buyer, Mr. or Miss Buyer, number 2, and this pertains a lot to for sale by owners as well. When you're dealing with a single person, auction style, you're usually buying something as is. Okay, as is. I mean, don't think about asking for repairs. Don't think about asking for closing costs, because it's not going to happen. Okay, you're buying a piece of property exactly what you see, and maybe exactly what you don't see. Okay, because it's sold as is. What you see is what you get, and more often than not, there are issues with the property. Now, in a normal real estate transaction, you have a 17-day inspection period. That inspection period, and I could say at the large, engaging a realtor in the inspection, engaging a realtor in your transaction, you get all the benefits and none of the costs of representation. We make sure that the paperwork is done correctly. We help you look for items with the property that may be of concern. Not necessarily a deal breaker, but a concern. And then that way you could feel more confident about putting down $500,000 on a house. That's just an example. So why not an auction? In summation, two things. For the seller, less than maximum dollars. Okay, in the end, statistically, you will put your house out with full marketing with an agent. With the buyer, lack of disclosure. There's a chance you won't. Your built-in safeguards like loan contingency, physical inspection contingency, they're just not there. That means if something isn't quite right, you can be stuck with a pile of problems that weren't disclosed correctly. I'm John Canaro with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and I want to thank you for the time spending with me on the subject. If you would like any of these case studies, please contact me, and I'll be happy to forward them to you. Thank you very much. You have a good day.